Analysts say a surprise win by a far-right party in Germany's regional elections over the weekend highlights a deepening divide between the country's east and west. Deutsche Welle correspondent Thomas Sparrow joins us now from Berlin. Thomas, g'day. So how has Chancellor Scholz and his coalition reacted to these results?
Well, it's important to stress that this was not only a very good result for the Alternative for Germany, that far-right German party, especially in the eastern state of Thuringia. It's the first time that a far-right party wins a regional election in Germany since World War II. But at the same time, it was a very bad result for Chancellor Scholz's party, the Social Democrats, and his partners, coalition partners at the federal level, the Greens and the Liberals. So the reaction has been twofold. On the one hand, the AfD has been obviously celebrating their good results, saying that they want to also govern or take political responsibility, something that is very difficult and unlikely because no other party wants to actually cooperate with them or form an alliance with them. And on the other hand, the Chancellor, his party, and his allied parties have begun a sort of blame game, trying to find out what the problem was, why they weren't able to convince voters in the East, and what this means now moving forward. Because it's important to stress that the next regional election is just around the corner, also in the East, in the state of Brandenburg. And next year in 2025, there are federal elections, which will result in a new government being formed. So already in the back of their minds, for Scholz, for all the other parties, they have that federal election looming. And one of the main issues that they're trying to resolve, one of the main issues they're trying to tackle, is specifically the issue of migration. This is on two reasons. One, because for the AfD, that has been the topic that has basically increased their popularity at the federal level. The AfD is an anti-migrant populist party. So that's one reason why Scholz and his partners are trying to tackle this issue. But on the other one, because it's simply the biggest political topic now here in Germany, how to reduce irregular migration.
And what political impact will these results have for Germany?
Well, big political impact, that for sure, because it's the first time that we have such a result here in Germany. So basically all parties are now trying to find out what the problems were and how they're going to position themselves moving on. The impact could also be actually beyond Germany's border, because some of the proposals that are being discussed now when it comes to migration is, for example, stopping irregular migrants from entering Germany and returning them to their first port of entry. This is something that in Europe is called the Dublin regulations. So this debate is actually not only one that's going to be held here in Germany, but one that will also have a European impact as well. Then there are other issues as well. How to make sure, from the government's perspective, that this far-right win in Thuringia does not repeat in Brandenburg, and that moving ahead, this also does not impact the elections in 2025. So we can certainly say for sure, even though this was a regional election, the impact is felt nationally and very likely also internationally as well.
And so what are the next steps? Is the AfD going to be in power regionally?
That's very unlikely. The reason behind that is that in Germany you need coalitions to form a majority, and that basically decides who's going to be in power. So what party is going to be part of that coalition? And all other parties have stressed that they're not going to work together with the AfD. So basically the pressure is now on some of the other parties to try and form coalitions, something that promises to be very, very difficult indeed, simply because these elections also reveal just how polarized, just how divided society is in eastern Germany. That's on the regional level. On the national level, there is pressure for Scholz, for his government, to basically implement measures and show that it can tackle some of Germany's most pressing issues and that it can communicate its priorities much better. So pressure is regional when it comes to forming those coalitions, and national when it comes to putting in practice some policies that the government has had for a long time, but that maybe they haven't been able to implement, or even those that they have been able to implement, that they probably haven't been able to communicate adequately to society.
Okay, Thomas Sparrow there in Berlin. Pope Francis has met Indonesia's president as he formally begins his visit to the world's largest